Okay, guys, we've tried this intro about 10 times, and it's been a very emotional time. It's been very difficult and complicated and complex, but you know, we're getting there, and things are good. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, guys.
It has been a minute.
It has been over a month since you've seen us in our last video at the hospital. And obviously, if you read our community post, you will know a little bit about what's happened. And I do feel ready to talk about it, guys.
Are you sure?
I do. But I am going to be honest, there's a little part of me that would love to just pretend this last month hasn't happened and just like keep filming other videos and stuff. But, you know, the whole point of our channel is to like share our life in all the ups and downs and highs and lows. And even though things are, you know, really stable right now and we're in a positive situation, and obviously I'll get to that ultimately, there is no denying that everything that has happened in this last month has been exceptionally difficult, and I'm probably going to cry throughout this entire video as we relive it.
Before we go any further, we just want to thank you guys.
Yeah.
All of your comments and your support, your thoughts, your prayers, and even your patience at this time has been so greatly appreciated. Yeah,
like I honestly cannot describe how uplifting I found all your comments and all the people sharing stories of success and positive outcomes, people who had experienced similar things. And like I feel like that's why I really want to make this video, because you guys sharing your stories helped me so much. And reading people saying that they were praying for the first time in years, or some people even ever, for us and for this little baby, is just like, it's literally so wholesome. It's like there were a lot of days where I was just crying tears of fear and sadness, but reading your comments was like the times when I actually cried tears of like joy and hope and gratitude. So I just do want to deeply thank you for all the support for that on YouTube and on Patreon. But now I feel like we need to actually fill you all in on what happened. And because this has like happened over such an extended period of time, we actually think we'll break into like 5 chapters to basically summarize everything that's happened.
We have got bullet points written down in our 2024 journal. So to start this off, we need to go back to what happened in Canada.
Yes, guys, we were in Canada.
For a brief moment, we were in Canada.
This was going to be our last trip, just the two of us. And at the time of arriving in Canada, I had just hit 23 weeks pregnant, and we were so excited about this last trip. We had got really good insurance. We had checked all our flights. We had made sure that everything was good and covered and safe for traveling while pregnant. And then we were going to be back just in time for my 30-week scan. But obviously, 3 days in, everything changed.
And there was no signs of anything wrong prior to that, because we wouldn't have went otherwise.
Yeah, in fact, the night before it happened, guys, we were literally sitting in bed talking about how good my pregnancy had been and how nice it was to be back on the road and just how smooth everything had been going. And it was one of those moments, you know, when you watch TV shows and movies where you're like, everyone's too happy.
Yes,
you know,
something's gonna happen.
And Philly literally said just before we went to bed, I feel like we're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, never say that.
Yeah, don't tempt fate, guys, because then the next morning I woke up at 6 a.m. and what we now know was a puddle of amniotic fluid, which is the stuff that's like in the sac growing around the baby. And we now know that that is actually that my waters had broken. But in that moment in Canada, I woke up thinking that I had just become magically incontinent and I was wetting myself or something, and there was a part of me that suspected that it was related to the baby, but there's also a big part of me, because this is my first pregnancy, that just thought, am I just like voluntarily like...
Yes, everyone's been saying to, you know, do your Kegels and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, so the thing is, there's no denying, I've experienced a little bit of pregnancy incontinence up until this point.
Keely, haven't we all?
So I did know that like you could obviously wet yourself, but it didn't feel like that, you know, and that's what it was. It was like, this doesn't feel normal. And something in us was just like, I think we just need to get to the hospital. So that happened at 6 a.m. and by about 8:30 a.m., by the time we filled out the paperwork, got to the hospital, got seen by somebody, the doctor was putting on the 2 little things to check the baby, and one was to check my ab muscles to see if I was going into labour. Thankfully, that 20-minute scan showed no signs of distress and no signs of labour. But then the doctor was like, okay, now we will check to see if there's any signs of amniotic fluid. But at this point, a lot of time had passed since that initial leak. So when the doctor did the check, she said, I can't see any of this fluid. So you must have just been incontinent. But then she did say, but you don't want me to see any of this fluid, because if I seen amniotic fluid, you would not be leaving this hospital until the day your baby's born. I'm only 4.5 months pregnant, guys. And she just keeps saying about how you don't want to have this baby in Canada, you don't want to have this baby in America, and she starts talking to us about like this trip and stuff. And even though she's saying the words that she can't see amniotic fluid, she's telling us that we basically have a day to decide whether or not we should go home, and that she thinks we should go back to Ireland. So even though on paper no one's telling me that there's amniotic fluid and my waters have broken, I am getting the vibe that she doesn't think that we should be in the country and that we need to get home. And as we were leaving, and I was saying, I need you to like give me a doctor's report for the insurance and stuff, because guys, it was like $850 just to get seen as a foreigner in the hospital in Canada. Never mind the $4,000 a day it is for a bed. Never mind the cost for bloods and ultrasounds and all of those different costs. Now, if you can imagine that stacking up over a 4-month period, plus if we did go into labour and premature baby, all of that. So when I was asking her for the doctor's report so I could do insurance, she basically said, I'm not going to charge you, just get home. So at that point you're like, I thought she was just being really nice, but now in retrospect, looking back, and now after talking to the midwives and all here and everything that we know now, people are like, I think she was being like a guardian angel. And basically, because if you had have been down as your waters have broken, you would not have been able to get home, you would not have been able to get on a plane. And as we were leaving, she did say that. She said, if you have another leak, you need to get back to hospital, but if you come back to this hospital, you won't be leaving it. So we leave that hospital not actually knowing anything, but having this feeling of like, what if something is wrong?
And all leaking seems to have stopped.
Yeah, at that point. So I hadn't leaked since 6 a.m. By the time we left the hospital and all, it was like 11 or 12 or something. So we basically went for brunch to just talk about it. She said, you've got a day to decide. So we went and we talked about it, and we were like, maybe we're fine, maybe we're overreacting, like maybe everything's cool. And then on the walk home from brunch, I had a second big leak, and I just went to the toilet in the place, so I knew it wasn't pee. There was no pee left in me, and that was the point where like we were like, this is serious, we need to get home.
Wrong. So the first thing we did was go and buy Keely some adult nappies.
We were getting nappies. We were also trying to see if we could get test strips to check if it was amniotic fluid or pee, because we still weren't certain, guys. Everything still felt so unknown, but we did know
that you needed to get home.
That we needed to get me on a flight
so
home.
We did book you the next flight home, which was in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we were like 45 minutes away from the airport.
Yeah.
So basically we drove straight to the airport. You packed a bag on the way.
Yeah.
And I left you there.
Yeah, because we obviously have Milo and we had all our stuff, but we knew we didn't have time to figure that out. If this was amniotic fluid, I needed to get home to get medical care immediately. And
by this point we'd let our families know what has been going on, and they were going to be at the other side ready to pick you up and bring you straight to the hospital.
Yes. So that brings us to Chapter 2, guys. The longest 24 hours of our life.
And it all starts by Keely getting on a flight that we had booked hours in advance, which means that she couldn't book her vegan meal.
I didn't even remember that. I literally didn't even remember that. That's true, because then they were saying to me on the plane when I asked about vegan food, they were like, you have to book this in advance. I was like, I booked this flight 2 hours ago. There was no part of me that was booking this 3 days in advance. But obviously, while not simultaneously telling her I'm wearing an adult nappy, and you know, so
a lot had happened.
A lot had happened, and I was just on that flight. I'll be honest, guys, I just cried and prayed that entire flight home, because again, we still just didn't know anything, but me leaving you behind was such a terrible feeling, to be separate.
Yeah. And I felt like so much shame just leaving you as well, because I'm your husband, I'm meant to be there for you, but this was the only way that we could get you home as quick as possible.
Yeah, so these 24 hours where basically I went home and you were sorting out the van were honestly the longest, probably darkest, scariest 24 hours of my life. But basically I got home to Dublin, my wee sister picked me up from the airport and we drove straight to the hospital that I'm registered at here. And when I got to that hospital, I seen numerous different midwives who all just kept telling me how brave I was, who all couldn't believe that I'd just come from Canada. And even though it took a few hours for them to eventually properly diagnose it with a scan, they were all like, yeah, that's clearly amniotic fluid based on what you're saying. Yes, and they all agreed that they thought the doctor in Canada probably knew and that this was her way of getting us home safely. Mm-hmm. And I just felt kind of like numb in those first few hours because it was just still waiting, trying to figure stuff out. But then when they had, if you touch me I'll cry. Then when we had the ultrasound, and the ultrasound showed that my fluid had significantly depleted. Like, considering on the last scan the baby had been swimming in this giant sack of fluid, for it to now be like practically empty in various parts, and confirm my waters had broken, that was terrifying. Mm-hmm. And
to hear those words, it's just like, it feels so crazy, especially at 23 weeks.
Yeah, I didn't even know your waters could break at 23 weeks, guys. Like, I literally did not know that could happen. Mm-hmm. And that might sound really naive to a lot of people who might have had experience with people with premature babies and stuff, but Philly and I have very big families who have been so blessed that everyone's went to full term, and we actually have no personal experience of this ever happening to anyone. Mm-hmm. So I didn't understand what that meant. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand if that meant was the baby gonna die, or mm-hmm. I had no comprehension. And it was only when the consultant came down and he told me that most women will go into labour.
Because when your waters break, that's the beginning of labour.
Yeah, no, but I didn't know that. So it was only when he explained that to me did I realise that I was potentially about to have this baby. But then he's also telling me, no offence to him, but you know, he was not bringing me any hope, guys. This consultant just sat there and told me, basically, I'm going to say these facts all very matter of fact to you because I've like processed them and I have to, but this was harrowing to hear, that because I was so premature, there was a 60% chance my baby would die. And in fact, I was so premature that they might not even try to resuscitate it, because of how small it is and fragile and all of this stuff. And like, it's your choice whether or not you choose to just let it die or not. And even if it did survive that, it's got like a 50% chance of long-term brain damage. And he's just listing all of this stuff off at me, and I've only just realized that my waters have even gone. And it's like, it's so hard for me to take in this information. It's like going in and just bouncing around in my brain, because then I'm also thinking, how am I gonna call you and tell you what he's saying to me? Mm-hmm. You know, so I just didn't know this could happen. I had no idea when I got on that plane. I thought I was going to be told I'd wet myself. I thought they were going to say, you're fine, you're just incontinent, it's your first pregnancy, you don't know. I did not think they were going to tell me there's a really high chance my baby's going to die, and if it survives, it might not have any quality of life. How do I phone you and tell you that?
So thankfully, Keely's wee sister actually recorded all of these phone calls and sent them to me as they were happening. So I was getting all this information, and it felt like my heart was just being ripped out of my chest, because I could hear you crying in the background, and just not being able to be there for you just was so was so hard, and if anything, that just lit a fire under my ass to me getting home as soon as I could.
Yeah.
I don't even know what shape Milo is in right now. I'm going to have to go back to him very soon just to make sure that, you know, he's still in one piece. But I pretty much just like let the handbrake go and just like tuck and roll out.
No, you didn't. Guys, Milo is safely locked up. He's good. And I just can't imagine what it must have been like to hear that voice note. Like, the fact that she sent that to you is good so that you knew it all and I didn't have to tell you. But I just, like, I could barely hear it myself in that room.
Mm-hmm.
For you to have to hear that in Canada alone and be apart from us, I literally cannot fathom how that would have felt.
It's probably the first time I've cried in decades.
Oh, I don't see you cry. That's so sweet. Yeah. So basically, like, that consultant, after he told me all that, was like, okay, we need to get you to a specialist hospital because this hospital can't actually handle someone as premature as you. So the next thing was getting me into an ambulance and transferring me to a specialist hospital where, as far as I understood, I was basically going to be in hospital until the day the baby was born.
Which at this point they're expecting to be days.
Yeah, I think they said that most women will go into labour within the first 48 to 72 hours. And basically that just brings us to the next point, which is basically the critical window, 72 hours, where we're just waiting to see, am I going to be one of these women that goes into labour?
Mm-hmm. Statistically, at this point, they're expecting you to go into labour, and it's these first 72 hours are their most crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can make it past that point, it's a very good sign, but you are in no way out of the woods at all.
Yeah, but those first 72 hours were basically, they put me into a labour ward because that's what they were anticipating might happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I am in this ward with 12 other women who are all at full term, like actively going into labour, being induced, etc, etc. And there I am with the world's smallest bump, just like crying my lamps out every day, praying I don't give birth. While they're all there trying to give birth, I am like, no, I am praying so hard that this baby stays inside. Like, every day is so critical at that point. And at the end of that 72-hour window, not only do my chances improve slightly, but also I would be at the 24-week mark, which is where they would then try to resuscitate every baby. So that was basically my goal as I was sitting in that labour ward, was just praying to get to 24 weeks.
And it was at the start of this when I got back to you. You seen at the end of our last video, that was when we were reunited.
Yeah.
Which was like one of the most glorious feelings.
Yeah, like, in such a dark time to feel so much joy, like literally being reunited with you was like, you just brought me so much peace. And that's when I felt like, we can do this. I was like, we can do it, this baby is staying inside. I was literally willing that with every fibre of my being. And in those 72 hours, I think I had like 3 different consultants talk to me, and they're all telling you, obviously the worst case scenario, they're all talking to you about what's going to happen when you go into labour, about how the baby's going to get birthed straight into a plastic bag because it won't have any fat on its body and they need to heat it up. And they're explaining to me all of this. They're explaining about the stuff they have to pump in their lungs. They're trying to put me on all these different drugs and everything. And even though they're telling me all of this, and even though they're not giving me any hope whatsoever, no offense doctors, but like literally it's only worst case scenario, I just kept believing so deeply, like with you, like we were just like, we're going to get through this. We are going to keep this baby inside. And I was praying for that, and I know you guys were praying for that in our Patreons. And as soon as we let everyone know what was happening, like the prayers just came in from around the world, and that gave me so much strength and hope and belief in a time when every consultant was giving me no hope.
But like, that's not an easy thing to do, and don't act like that's normal, Keely. It's the fact is that you're one of the strongest people that like I've ever met. Guys, you know Keely is one of the most stubborn, one of the most like strong-willed and strong-minded people. The amount of bravery and courage that it takes to have hope in this situation is crazy, but you did.
I did have hope, and I don't know, it was naivety. I don't know if I was disassociating from what was really happening to me or what, but like, I also made up a song. I can't sing it to you guys, but I made up a little song for the baby, and anytime I was alone, I would just be singing it to it, and I was like telling it, like, you're with me till the bitter end, you know, like, me and you, like, I'm just not believing this. I'm not believing any of the words that they're saying. And even when we got to the 24 weeks at the end of that 72-hour window, and the conversation changed, but all it changed to was, okay, now instead of a 60% chance of death, it's a 40% chance of death, and now it's a 30% chance or whatever of brain damage. Even though they're saying those words at me, like, I was still like, no, that's not my story, and like, I am not that statistic, and I believed that so deeply in my core. Which I suppose brings us to the inpatient phase. Once I hit that 24-week window, the conversation stopped being about having active labour immediately, and the conversation started being about trying to get me to 27 weeks.
So at this point, we are thinking that you're now in hospital on bed rest for the remainder of your pregnancy, whether it be 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
And also, from the moment you've got in, you were put on an antibiotic because you're at high risk of infection, because you've literally got an open wound in your body.
Yeah, like, that's really dangerous for not only the baby but also me. So I was on antibiotics, guys, which were absolutely destroying my gut microbiome or whatever. I literally could not eat the hospital food. And bless them, they were trying. Thank you so much to the hospital and the catering staff. They were trying to cater to a vegan when I don't think they understood what a vegan was, because they kept bringing me eggs and stuff. And then they didn't understand that I didn't eat processed foods. So this journey with me not being able to eat because of my antibiotics and also hospital food.
You even had the chef visit you at one point?
He actually visited me a few times.
Because he said that, I realised that I've sent you a baked potato and beans 5 days in a row. Is there anything else that we can make you?
And then when I explained that I don't like eating like fried processed food, he was like, you really are a weirdo. But bless them, they did try really, really hard to like feed me good food, and I appreciate that. But Philly had like a little mini fridge for me, and you, at this point, I have to say, during this inpatient phase of those like 3-ish weeks, Philly literally camped outside the hospital every night in this van, Martha. You were available to me 24/7 back and call, and I am so grateful for that.
Anything?
Like, you would cook for me, you would bring me anything I wanted. Obviously, the trouble with like this inpatient phase was the fact that I was tethered to this hospital bed. And the visiting hours were quite strict, so I could only see you during visiting hours and stuff. And all of that was actually exceptionally difficult for me. Because we're so used to being so free, guys, and we're used to being together all the time, for me to then be feeling like I'm not in control of anything, and I'm just having to kill time, and I missed you so much. Like, every day I missed you. But knowing you were right outside, it meant it was okay, because I knew, like, if anything happened, you were right there.
I was doing anything that I could to feel useful, because I don't know, like, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there might have felt a similar way when your other half is in hospital or has something has happened and you're just like of no use. You just feel like so helpless. So anything that I could do to help you, whether it's make you food, bring you treats, like bring you pizza or sushi or whatever, you know, anything I can do to put a smile on your face, that was, you know, I was there for it.
You were so like good to me, and all our friends and family that visited, like, people knew, and you guys knew as well. People were like, how are you handling bed rest, Keely? You must be going insane. I need to be busy at all times. I am like some little hyperactive child that needs constantly stimulated, and sitting in a hospital bed doing nothing honestly would have drove me absolutely insane. But my family brought me Lego, my friends brought me knitting.
Well, actually, so the Lego came from, I had a list of things that I was going to get you, and a plant was in one of them, but because it's a labour ward and there's like high risk of infection and stuff there, you can't bring like plants and stuff in. So I showed this to my sister, and she was like, you're going to bring her a plant? And she laughed at me, but then she found a Lego a Lego plant and brought you that.
Yeah, and that's basically started a trend. Now
People would bring you plants.
I love Lego. I love Lego. I love knitting. I was colouring. I was reading. I was basically doing anything I could to fill my time. Because the truth is, if you didn't fill your time, you would lie there and you would think about the worst case scenarios. And I just couldn't let myself go there. I couldn't let myself live in that worry and fear, because still every day when the doctors come to see me, I would be like, I'm doing good, aren't I? I haven't went into labour yet. I've no more fluid. I've no sign of infection. And I'd be like, wanting them to tell me I'm doing good, and they're like, you could still go into labour at any moment. They really don't fill you with confidence, you know. So it's like I just had to keep myself busy, and simultaneously while trying to keep myself busy and missing you, etc., you are being checked constantly. And obviously on the one hand it meant I was very sleep deprived, because you were being checked every few hours. I was on, like Philly said, antibiotics that I had to take throughout the night and stuff. But simultaneously hearing that baby's heartbeat every 3 hours, knowing that that baby was kicking and strong, like I looked forward to them. I actually looked forward to the midwives waking me up, because it was just confirmation that this baby was strong and it was a fighter. And you know, those few weeks in hospital, as difficult as they were also so reassuring to basically all the midwives. Thank you to the midwives, because the doctors don't fill you with hope a lot, but the midwives would just keep telling me how strong our baby was, would keep telling me what a little rascal it was. Every time they checked it, the baby would choose different ones to kick and different ones to run away from and all, and honestly it was like it had different midwives that liked to troll, and it was just so reassuring. It was so reassuring.
And throughout the course of the few weeks that you were in there, at the start you were on strict bed rest, but because you weren't leaking and you were feeling better, they were allowing you to go for walks up and down the corridor. You even got allowed to come down to the van at one point as well.
Yes.
So it was nice just to get you outside, get some vitamin D and just get you up and about.
Yeah, it was so good. And in fact, we had been at the point where I was definitely going to be an inpatient right up until 27 weeks before we could even have a discussion about whether I'd be allowed to become an outpatient. But a few days before that, everything had been going so well. They moved my scan up earlier, and the ultrasound went so well that they decided that they were happy for me to become an outpatient, which is
Yay!
Which is the chapter, the phase that we are in right now, the outpatient phase.
First day of the rest of your life, eh? Welcome home!
I knew we'd be reunited again so soon, Martha.
But before we go into the outpatient section, I think we should just shout out our families. Just knowing that they were there, they were very attentive and present throughout all of this. They made sure I was eating and sleeping. They made sure that you were occupied with Lego puzzles and everything. Yeah. And it's just knowing that they had our backs 100% of the time. Yeah, they did. Just put our hearts at ease a lot. Yeah.
In fact, I wasn't used to, we're not used to having so much stimuli. Like, my visiting hours, I see like 6 different people a day. Like, people made sure that I was never alone during visiting hours, and that was like so lovely, but simultaneously like so stimulating and overwhelming.
I think we've seen our family more in the 3 weeks you were in hospital than we have seen in the last 3 years.
Yeah, like legit, everyone was like, even my sister flew from England and everything to see me. Like, everyone was so on it.
Well, you did worry us.
Yes, I did. But guys, like I said, I got past that 3-week window, and I just have to say, getting into that outpatient phase, that 80% of women will have went into labour within 2 to 3 weeks of their waters breaking. So the fact that I got to this point means that I have beat the odds so much. But even though we are in this outpatient phase, there's no denying that still like 95% of women will go into labour early and will have a premature child. So we are still in a risk window, but I am continuing to believe that I'm going to be the outlier. I'm continuing to believe that this little baby is going to stay inside and keep growing. And I just hope that you all believe that with us. I hope you will continue to pray or send us the good vibes, all the good energy. And I just want to continue to prove that miracles happen, because in that last scan, that I got, not only was the baby growing and doing so well, exceeding growth expectations. I think the baby's in the 79th percentile for growth, which is incredible. Considering I'd lost so much fluid, there's a big worry that it's not going to be able to grow and develop. But also, guys, they found that my amniotic sac has refilled with fluid again. And on the scan that we had just a couple of days ago, my levels of fluid are back to normal, as if this had never happened. I have not leaked amniotic fluid in over 3 weeks now, and every consultant that I've spoke to in the last week says it looks like my amniotic sac has healed and sealed itself, which is incredibly rare. So for me to be at this point where basically everything I prayed for, that the hole has sealed, that the fluid is back in my amniotic sac, that the baby is growing beyond what we could hope for, it is honestly just, I cannot describe how grateful we are. I cannot describe how far we have come from that first day of what they were saying, where I thought we were going to lose our baby or it would have lifelong issues, to be at this point now where we have just hit 28 weeks, where the baby is growing, where everything seems on track. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. And I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful too. So as of now, we are going up to the hospital 2 to 3 times a week still. You're getting scans because you are at a higher risk. You are not on strict bed rest. You can still go for walks now, but you can't do any exercise. Keely's asking him, can I do like lunges and squats?
Well,
and
I was just like,
yeah, if you could play tennis.
No, I did ask about squats and stuff. Like, guys, I'm aware that I'm not very mobile right now, and I'm getting more pregnant. I need to open my hips, but they're like, no, Keely, do not do squats, do not do activities, do not go for hikes. You cannot travel more than 30 minutes from this hospital, because the baby is still so small. If I did go into labour, it would happen very, very quickly. So I am only allowed to be 30 minutes away from the hospital at any time. I have to check my pulse and my temperature every 6 hours. If there are any changes, if there's any changes with fluid or any cramping or anything, I will be straight back into hospital. But right now we are confident and believing that I'm going to continue. We are hopeful for a full term, and I just freaking love this little baby so much. This little baby is such a rascal, guys. I cannot describe how much of a rascal this baby is. And it literally boots me constantly, beating me up all the time. It even beats you up.
Yes, anytime, like if you're spooning me, I can feel it kicking me in the back.
It is such a little rascal. And I look forward to, in the distant future, to the day that this child comes into the world. And I have complete and utter faith that this is going to be a happy and healthy child. And I just want to massively thank you guys for your support. I'm sorry if this video is so long and waffly, and I know this has just been a whole lot of us talking, but I just feel it's important to share this part of our story. It's out into the world now, and thank you so much for your kindness and your support throughout this period. And hopefully this means now we can just try to get back to being here.
Yes, we do have a massive project on the horizon, which we will share with you very, very soon. But for now, we're just going to focus on keeping baby inside, keeping you good and healthy.
Yes, well, you also have a little adventure that's going to happen before our project, but you guys are going to have to come back. Probably not next week, it'll probably be 2 weeks. So I think during this phase, it's probably going to be like a couple of weeks between each video, just while we get back on track, because obviously I cannot be very active right now, etc. But we are back, guys, okay, and we will be here. Philly's got a little adventure coming up. We've got a big project coming up, and we're all just going to keep track of this little baby. It is going to stay inside. And life is good, and God is good, and we'll see you guys very soon.
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you too. We did it. You're proud of this wee one to stay inside.
You're going to be proud of something that barely exists.
Trust me, it exists. It's beating the crap out of me right now.